Fox News alert. Primetime went to Grand Rapids, Michigan this weekend, where we met with former President Donald Trump and his VP pick, J.D. Vance, at their first joint rally. This was also Trump's first on-camera interview since he dodged an assassin's bullet. Here's part one of our exclusive interview. Mr. President, Senator, I don't know what we have to talk about. It's been pretty boring. Why did you pick J.D. Vance?
We've always had a good chemistry, and originally J.D. was probably not for me, but he didn't know me. And then when we got to know each other, he liked me maybe more than anybody liked me, and he would stick up for me, and he'd fight for the worker as much as I fight for the worker. We just had an automatic chemistry. And I actually endorsed him in Ohio for the Senate, and he ended up winning against a very tough field. And he wrote a book which was a classic, as you know, and it was all about the working men and women and how they aren't being treated fairly, and he was right about that, and I understood that maybe better than anyone else. And we just have had a great relationship. And he had serious competition. We had tremendous people, all of them, every one of them.
You beat out a lot of very important people.
Very impressive people.
When you got the call and found out, what did your wife say?
Well, he asked to speak to my wife, actually, which I was very appreciative of, and so was she. But she was just kind of flabbergasted. I think that going into it, we had no idea really what was going on, whether he would pick me or Marco Rubio, great guy, Doug Burgum, great guy, and a lot of other good people. But, you know, when the president called me, I don't know if you remember this, sir, but my kid was talking in the background about Pokemon cards. I'm like, oh, for the love of God, 7-year-old kid, if you've ever been quiet, be quiet now. And the president's like, put him on speakerphone. And so you read off the truth that was at the actual announcement that he was nominating me to be vice president. And he says, what do you think about that? And my son goes, oh, it's good. It's good.
It's the endorsement.
Yeah,
he likes your truth.
That's the endorsement that mattered, actually, was from my 7-year-old. But it's been a wild ride, and we're having a good time, and we're going to win. That's the most important thing.
How's your ear?
Good. Getting much better. We're getting down to the small bandages. But it was a nasty one, and it was a nasty period. That was exactly 1 week ago from today, exactly. And, you know, when you think about it, that's been a lot of territory covered. Who would have thought this was going to be happening? But it happened, and I got very lucky. Or God. I think it was God, actually.
You know who said it was not God? Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin, said he gave you that chart of illegal immigration.
Well, he's right about that. He actually gave me the chart. If I didn't have that chart, I wouldn't have looked to the right. If I didn't look to the right, a very bad thing would have happened. I wouldn't have been at the convention. I can just about guarantee it.
That's right.
Now, where were you when Butler happened?
I was actually playing mini golf with my kids, hoping that he would call me and offer me the vice presidential slot. And, you know, what happened, and I told my kids, I said, we got to get out of here. The president's been shot. And, of course, we didn't know if the president was okay or not at that point. And my son said, Daddy, is it the president who's your friend or the president you don't like? And I said, it's the president who's my friend. And he said, okay, I'm sorry about that. And it was a very sweet moment. And I think we were all just so grateful the president was okay.
So the ear's better. You have the smaller bandage on. Yeah. Have you asked to see the wound?
I have not, no. I won't, though I do find it hysterical, Jesse. You have these people who are like, why is the president wearing an ear bandage? He got shot in the ear, and these are the same people who are wearing masks, right, 5 years after COVID, so it's pretty ridiculous.
When you were down by the podium, we heard a lot of kerfuffle. You said something about shoes.
Yeah.
What was that?
Well, they wanted to put me on a stretcher. They had a stretcher, and they wanted to put me on a stretcher, and I said, I'm not going on a stretcher, because I just felt it was the ear, and there was a lot of blood coming. I don't know if you've heard this, but the ear causes, they say, the most in the body. You get hit on the ear. Better than just about any other place in one way, but in another way it bleeds more. And there was a lot of blood, but I understood. They thought I was hit elsewhere. They thought I was hit actually in this area. And I wasn't. I said, I'm telling you, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm going to get up. I want to get up. I'm not going to be taken out on a stretcher. We had a little argument. Well, I have 6 guys lying on top of me. I mean, I had some big guys on top of me.
Yeah.
Strong guys, too. I can tell you that by the wrist. The wrist had a little work on it. and brave guys, because they ran onto that stage very quickly. I was down for the most part because when I looked at my hand, I knew it was something very serious. I put my hand up, I looked at it, it had blood all over it. But I had a lot of big, strong humans on top of me, and they were very brave humans because they were running into fire, and he kept going. He probably thought he hit, but it hit the ear. And when I saw that, I got down pretty quickly, I think. I also think people were starting to shout. It's one of the reasons I was able to go down so fast, because it almost is amazing that move of checking here and going almost immediately down. I think so probably people were shouting at the same time. Who knows? It was bedlam. And I was down, and I said, let's get going. Come on, let's go. And the shooting had stopped, so I assumed they probably got him. They did get him. I believe they got him with one shot from an unbelievable shot. Now, if he would have done it earlier, maybe doing it early is hard because it's hard to shoot somebody when you're not 100% sure. But they got him. And had they not gotten him, it could have been a lot worse situation. But two great men were very badly hurt. I've gotten to know them, and one, Corey, was, as you know, killed. And you could have had a lot more than that if he didn't. But so they took him out. So now we're getting up. I said, I'm not lying on the stretch. I'm not going to do that. So I forced my way up, and once I was up, I realized, because I looked, everybody was stunned. You know, we had thousands and thousands of people. A good group in the back, but they were great. You know, it was just like a backdrop. And nobody stampeded, nobody ran. You know, usually when they hear a shot, if you go to any where people that do this for a living, it's called crowds, and they said when a bullet goes off, everybody starts running for the exits. Nobody ran, including the thousands, I mean, tens of thousands of people were in front. Mm-hmm. And nobody ran, and nobody ran in back. The back was like a sample of it. And you had one man, and the man dressed in black. I mean, they were all becoming famous people, with a black hat, and he's looking like this. He's standing up. Where are they? And he starts pointing. This man had no fear, and none of them did. And the women were incredible. Some went down, you know, for a little cover, but nobody ran. And everyone that went down came up. Yeah. And they thought I was in trouble. And they were right, but they thought I was in trouble because they saw the blood immediately because it was over here.
And sir, the media always slanders these crowds as, you know, MAGA extremists, and of course they slander the president too. And it really is, I think, a testament to the movement, how calmly people responded to it. That's definitely the thing I took away most from it.
Yeah, it was amazing, but it was love too. It just
absolutely.
They didn't move. But when I came up, they saw me come up. And they thought it was over. They thought it was over when I went down because they saw the blood immediately. And then when I put the hand up, everybody was happy. That was the time. That was when they realized I was okay. And it's just an incredible country. It was a beautiful moment.
Joe Biden called you after this guy tried to take your life. How'd that conversation go?
It was good. It was a nice conversation. He said, "You're lucky you turned to the right." So it was, you know, obviously somebody briefed him. But he did say that to me. He said, "You're lucky you turned to the right." I said, "I think so."
This country would be lucky if it turned to the right.
Well, I guess maybe, certainly to a certain extent it would. Wouldn't it be nice?
Fox News alert, there's an FBI investigation underway into the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Do Trump and Vance trust it? Mistakes were made. They were monitoring this guy for an hour beforehand. Yeah. No one told you not to take the stage?
No, nobody mentioned it. Nobody said there was a problem. And I would have waited for 15. They could have said, let's wait for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, something. Nobody said, I think that was a mistake. The Secret Service, they call them snipers, but he was, you know, world-class shot. I guess he didn't want to take the shot. I can understand that one a little bit because maybe he didn't see, you know, maybe he doesn't know. You don't want to shoot somebody if the person's not going to be carrying a gun. I don't know if they had a gun. They had a policeman that actually saw the man with a gun, and you would have thought that that would have been conveyed to other people. So there were some mistakes. But I can tell you this, just to go on the more positive side, The people on the stage were unbelievable and brave. They were all Secret Service that came running up, and they were running past bullets. Bullets were, when I went down, bullets were coming over my head, and you hear them. It's like a zip, zip. So I'm lucky I went down fast, but I don't even consider that the lucky part. I consider the lucky part turning exactly right in the one position where, you know, you're going to get hit here, but you're not going to get hit in the wrong location, which is, you know what that is.
Senator, the FBI is doing an investigation on the assassination attempt. Do you trust the Bureau?
I don't trust the Bureau leadership, but I certainly think there are a lot of good field agents, guys on the grounds who have the country's best interest at heart. I think, like the president, obviously he was there and I wasn't, but my initial reaction was exactly the same. What bravery from the guys who reacted immediately. But what the hell was going on? How was that guy ever allowed to be there in the first place? Because I think somebody, whether it's higher up or somebody else involved, really did screw up. And we have to get to the bottom of it because, you know, now me and my family are under protection. And obviously the president's safety is of paramount importance. I mean, people realize, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, what an unbelievable, you know, bullet that we all dodged, right? Of course, the president's life is the most important thing. The unrest in this country, the anger, it would have taken this country a half a century to get over it. And, you know, we really did, I think, as a country, get really lucky, not just the president.
I know many people in the FBI, they're great. They tend to be at the mid and lower levels. They're unbelievable. And they're MAGA. Believe me, they're MAGA. They make America great again, people. But, you know, there's some things going on with our government that we have to really worry about. Did we have enough people? Why didn't we have enough people? Somebody said that a lot of people were put on Biden's detail. The problem is Biden doesn't draw anybody. He draws flies. He draws nobody. And, you know, you don't need very many people for that because he does not draw. He'll have 30 people show up, and we have 55, 60,000 people show up. And so you have to take care of those big crowds.
Secret Service detail of 20, you could have a 1-to-1 ratio at a Biden rally, right? The president actually needs substantial protection. So I 100% believe that some people got to be investigated and probably some people need to be fired.
It was a pot shot. Are you at all suspicious he had help?
Well, you just don't know. It doesn't look like it, does it? But now we're finding out that he had some encrypted phone numbers and to foreign countries, which a little bit surprises me. When you look at him, he was somebody that was bullied in school, and, you know, you hear all different stories. I would say probably he was a loner, but you don't know that. They have to check out the phone numbers. They have to check out the phone. I think they were able to break into his phone. I would hope so. For a crime like this, you have to be able to break into a phone, you know, because they pride themselves on not allowing people to break in. And government can't get in. Apple can let you in. So I don't know exactly what happened. But assassination is big stuff, and you have to get to it. So we'll see what happens. But it just shouldn't have been when you have essentially a flat, open roof like that, and it's direct to the target with absolutely nothing in its way. How can somebody be up there? And he was up there for a long period of time because they have tape of him moving all over the place. And then they see him and they don't report him. Who was the policeman or I guess it was local police, who looked at him, saw him standing with a gun? I think the guy saw him and this guy dropped off the roof. And I don't blame him for that. What I do blame him for is why isn't he calling everybody, screaming and say, there's a guy with a gun up there? What did he do when he dropped off the roof? Did he just go away and say, like, nothing? That's a big factor. Who was he? And why did he do that? Why didn't we know about that? Because I would have, oftentimes, based on weather and based on other things, I'd say, sir, would you wait 10 minutes before you go out, please? We never had a case like this. But certainly if they said, would you wait 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes because we have a possible problem, unlikely but possible, I wish somebody would have done that because Corey would be alive and 2 people that were seriously hurt would not be hurt. And we wouldn't have had all of the things that we've gone through over the last period of time.
And, sir, I think it illustrates something that's so different about the Trump administration versus the Biden administration. Look, screw-ups sometimes happen, even very big screw-ups. But it's the responsibility of leaders to stand before the country and say, all right, we screwed up. We're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to answer questions and do it in public. I think the fact that there's been no transparency here is what makes a lot of us say, well, what the hell happened, and why, are we actually taking steps to ensure it doesn't happen again?
If you're elected, you can declassify the assassination attempt files. You could clear things up like that. You'll do that, right?
I would, yeah, sure. There should be nothing to hide here.
It's his decision.
I think, frankly, but I think, frankly, many things are known right now. But some of the things that are known are bad. How did somebody get on that roof, and why wasn't he reported? Because people saw that he was on the roof. I mean, you had Trumpers screaming. The woman in the red shirt, she was screaming, "There's a man on the roof!" And then other people said, "There's a man on the roof who's got a gun." And that was quite a bit before I walked onto the stage. So you would have thought somebody would have done something about it.
The Secret Service director won't say if Crooks was a lone gunman. Wow. What will the Trump-Vance agenda look like? And how they ever golf together? This weekend, we flew to Grand Rapids, Michigan to ask them. Here's part 2 of our exclusive interview.
Have you guys spent time playing golf together?
A couple times. I think the president, I hit the ball pretty well, but I have a pretty high handicap. And when the president asked me how high my handicap was, he said, "Well, you got a beautiful swing, so you must have a terrible short game," which is true. It is accurate.
You might get to work on that. I know you like to play.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I don't know if I'm good enough to play that much with you. About once a year is probably all I can take.
You guys will be pretty
he plays
busy.
fast. He's like what are you, a scratch golfer?
Yeah, well, right in that neighborhood, pretty good. I won a lot of club championships.
Can Kai beat you at golf?
Well, I'll tell you what, within a short period of time, she'll be able to.
Not now.
I don't want to say. You
have a rivalry with her.
Oh, she's going to be good. She's going to be really good. I mean, she's really a top young player for her age. She's incredible, I would say.
You probably won't have that much time for golf if you're as fortunate as we expect to get elected. Mexico, are strikes against the cartels still on the table?
Absolutely.
Even against our biggest trading partner?
Absolutely. Mexico's going to have to straighten it out really fast, or the answer is absolutely. They're killing 300,000 people a year with fentanyl coming in. And China, by the way, will do what they have to do. They're going to do it just like I had to deal with President Xi, but then Biden never took it over. They were going to give the death penalty to anybody sending fentanyl our way. And that was part of my negotiation. They never did it because nobody forced it on our side. Mm-hmm. You know, China has the death penalty for drug dealers, etc. And I said, they're drug dealers. They agreed with me. He agreed with me. Death penalty for drug dealers. Death penalty for people that send fentanyl into our country. And that would have made a big difference. But you know what happened? Nothing, because when Biden came in, nothing happened. And I don't know why he's so soft on China, but boy, is he soft on China. But China is sending almost 100% of it is from China to the Mexican border, and then it's coming in. Mexico is going to be given a very short period of time to police their border. I'm sure they're going to do not well. And then you're going to see the action start. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to have a lot of people living. They're killing 350,000, not 100,000 or 90. I like to say 100. It's a lot of people. That's 2 Yankee stadiums, okay? Mm-hmm. They're killing 300,000 people, maybe more than that, and destroying families. Even if there's no death, they're destroying families. The families are decimated and they're destroyed.
And Senator, your mother, victim of addiction, how'd she kick it?
She kept on getting back on the horse. I know a lot of families struggle with addiction. I think my message is there is hope on the other side of addiction. You just have to keep on at it. And she's getting close to 10 years clean and sober. But to the president's point about this, if the poison that is coming across the border now had been coming across 20 years ago, I don't think that my mom would be here. And she's a great grandma to our 3 grandkids. And it's so just good to see her happy and healthy. A lot of families. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. She was so excited to be sitting next to you, and you were very kind to her, and I appreciate that. But a lot of families don't get that chance at a second chance because of that poison that Biden's letting into the country right now. It's funny that people accuse us of being bombastic for saying the cartels, we need to go after them. What about American citizens who are losing their lives by the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, because we won't do something serious about the cartels? That's what's reckless. It's not actually doing something to stop them. I actually believe, Jesse, that the Mexican government, even though they couldn't say that, they want President Trump to be serious about the cartels, because that poison is destabilizing their country too. $14 billion coming into the cartels, and that was a couple of years ago. It's probably more today. They're not going to be a real country anymore. They're going to become a narco state unless we get some control over this.
Yeah, we could be a narco state too.
We're getting close to it.
Are you prepared for the hysteria from the left, legally, bureaucratically, when you do mass deportations?
So Dwight Eisenhower, who people consider a moderate, he probably wasn't as moderate as people think, but Dwight Eisenhower did the largest deportation ever in this country. He was very big on people not coming into our countries, people breaking our sealed borders, right? And the hardest thing in a certain way is exactly what you said. We have to get some very bad people out of this country. And as soon as we grab, perhaps we take a woman with 2 children, 3 children, she shouldn't be here, but she's a nice woman, the children are beautiful, and all of a sudden it ends up being a front page story of the liberal newspapers. And you're right, it's a hard thing to do. Harder than a long time ago with Dwight Eisenhower, right? A lot harder. Nobody complained. In those days it was, we had a country that was much different. But we have no choice. We have to get the criminals out. These are murderers. These are drug dealers. These are people that will take women and put them in the trunk of a car and sell them to the highest bidder. They'll come across the border, human traffickers, which is, you think of that as an ancient thing. Yep. Actually, it's almost as big as the drug trade now. You wouldn't even believe this. And the reason is because of the internet. The internet has made that into a massive business. Human trafficking, it's mostly in women. And all of these things, we have no choice. We have to do it.
The media will attack us for doing what we actually promised to do, which is get a lot of the violent criminals and the people who shouldn't be here out of here. But one, that's why leadership actually matters. I think President Trump showed during his first 4 years he wasn't willing to take on the lying media when he had to, and the country was better off for it. But you just start with the worst people, right? But before you get into what you can't do, I don't understand why our entire governing class doesn't ask, well, what's the part you actually have to do? Why don't we start there and then figure it out from there, right? Walk before you can run. Pretty common sense. That's how it works in business. Certainly, I think how it should work in government.
The problem is Mexico is petrified of the cartels because they'll take out a president in 2 minutes. And they're petrified of the cartels. The cartels are running Mexico. And I had a great relationship, as you know, with the president of Mexico. But I had to remain in Mexico. I had catch and release in Mexico. We released them in Mexico. Not here. I did things that nobody believed I did. They could be done. Remember when I had remain in Mexico? In other words, nobody could come into our country. They had to remain in Mexico. You think that was easy to get? And I got it. I got it because of tariffs. I said, if you don't agree to it, I'm going to put tariffs on your cars and everything you sell us at a level of 50 to 100%. And all of a sudden they said, we would love to keep them in Mexico. It would be a great honor to keep everybody in Mexico. But we had, we have great powers if we had people that knew how to use them. They don't.
That's how the bloodbath hoax started. You were talking about tariffs on cars from China through Mexico.
That's right.
Joe Biden calls for unity, lowering the temperature, and then goes out the other day and says you're a dictator, threat to democracy, fine people hoax. Does that language put you in danger?
You know, it's interesting. I never took it seriously until now because people believe things when they hear it over and over. Biden gets up. He can't read 2 sentences. He can't put 2 sentences together. Trump is a threat to democracy. He doesn't even know what the hell he's saying. He couldn't even define the word democracy. And he says he's a threat. Then I started realizing a couple of weeks ago, every single time he gets up, he calls me a threat to democracy. And he's actually a threat to democracy because he's grossly incompetent. I mean, that's a big threat to democracy.
In terms of Ukraine, you get in there. Do you pull funding right away in the middle of a war?
So I spoke yesterday, as you know, President Zelensky called me, and we had a good talk. And I said, we got to get this war over. This is a war machine. You're facing a war machine. That's what they do, is they fight wars. They beat Hitler. They beat Napoleon. They're fighting a war. And the spring offensive never happened. And I hear they had millions of mines put down, and they had thousands of army tanks, meaning the Russians. And I said, we've got to get this war over with. A lot of Russians being killed, but a lot of Ukrainians being killed. It's a whole mess. Should have never happened. Biden should have never allowed this to happen. This was an easy stop. This was zero chance of happening. And it didn't happen for my 4 years. You know, it would have happened. It didn't happen. And President Putin would have never done it. Never, ever. Two reasons. Number one, the oil prices were low. I kept them low. I kept gasoline low. I kept oil low. And he wouldn't have had the money to prosecute. As soon as these guys came in, the oil went to almost $100 a barrel, which is double what it should be. And all of a sudden, he's got tremendous amounts of money that he didn't have. Russia had. So they did the war, and in my opinion, every single thing that Biden said was the opposite of what he should have said. I watched this happening. I said, he's saying the wrong things. He's saying absolutely the opposite of what he should be saying. I think one of the reasons Putin went in is because when he saw Afghanistan, the way we got out, not that we got out, I was going to get out. I would have been out sooner, but we would have been out with dignity and strength. When people saw that, like Putin, like President Xi of China, strong guy, strong man, when they saw that, Jesse, they said, this is our time. And that's why he went in my opinion, that's why he went into Ukraine. I mean, he went to Ukraine when he saw how bad we were with Afghanistan. He said, these people are incompetent.
Right.
They don't, and we do. We have incompetent leaders, but we have great, because I defeated ISIS in a very short number of weeks. And they were fighting them for years. We have great military, and they're not woke. They're not woke.
No.
Because I have generals in there that are great, not the ones on television that you see, that you hear, the Milleys and the Mattises. We have great generals. These are not woke people. And we have great military, too. And they're not going to be woke. Look, we're going to win. We got to win.
Are we going to be able to end the Ukraine war in 3 weeks?
Well, like the president said, Jesse, the best way to stop a war is to prevent a war. And one of the really interesting things is, you know, I always talk about how the world actually respected President Trump, and all these crazies in the media say, no, that's not true. I sit in classified briefings in the United States Senate without revealing state secrets. People were terrified that if they got too out of line, that President Trump would actually hit back and hit back hard. That's the way you establish deterrence. Okay, now we've already got a war. You've got to be willing to engage in diplomacy and do the things that need to be done. I think President Trump did that better than anybody. So it really just requires leadership. And people, I think a lot of Americans who aren't maybe decided are saying, well, how do we get from 4 years of President Trump where we had a relative calm and stability all over the world, and now it's like every continent now has a new conflict? And the answer is, you went from a guy who knew what he was doing to Joe Biden. And whether it's Joe Biden or somebody else, it's going to be the same policies, the same staff, the same diplomats. We need to completely change course and change direction. That requires us to elect President Trump.
American hostages still in
there.
Gaza?
It should be a scandal. It should be the biggest scandal in the country. We have Americans, not Israelis. Of course, we wouldn't get the Israelis. American citizens being held by terrorists. The president seems not to care about it.
Hostages in Russia. Evan.
We're going to get them all back.
How?
I'm going to make a phone call. We're going to get them back. We're going to have them back fast.
What's your plan for AI?
Well, we're going to be big for AI, but you know, AI requires unbelievable amounts of electricity.
Absolutely.
You know this. Do you know we need twice as much electricity as we currently have in our country for AI, but the environmentalists won't let you produce it? They want wind. The wind is blowing today. The whole thing, it's the most expensive hoax in the world. The wind, it kills our birds. If you want to see a bird cemetery, go under a windmill sometime. You'll see a bird. You know, if you shoot a bald eagle or an eagle of any kind, they put you in jail for 2 years. Go under a windmill, see how many eagles are under there. Nobody goes to jail. They say the environmentalists like them. I don't know what's to like. It ruins everything, and it's the single most expensive form of energy. And then, by the way, every 9 years you have to replace them.
They're falling apart off the coast of Nantucket.
No,
Shut down all the beaches right
These
now.
are mechanical machines. You know, people think, oh, we built them, but you're going to have to replace them, and especially the ones in the ocean. The salt water just absolutely eats through the steel like it's nothing. Anyway, we have a lot of things to do, and we can do it. We'll do it fast, and we do it with common sense. You know, I call it the party of common sense, because 90% of the things we've talked about over the years, common sense. Like, we don't want all electric cars. You want an electric car, it's great, but not everybody wants an electric car. They want to go far. they don't want to pay China, or they don't want to pay too much because an electric car is more expensive.
Does Elon Musk hate it when you bash electric cars?
Well, I love Elon, and I have to tell you this about this. He endorsed me. He announced he's giving me $45 million a month, and yet I'm against certain electric cars. I love electric cars for people that want them, people that don't want to drive across the country, people that don't want to go long distances. You'd have to stop too much. But if you go back and forth or whatever, I think they have a great place. And here's the thing with Elon, it's amazing. And I keep waiting. He has never once, as you know, he endorsed me just recently. And I've been making this whole thing about electric cars and the mandate for electric cars, another mandate for the electric cars. And I'll tell you, he's never called me and said, could you lay off the electric car thing? Because I think electric cars are fantastic for certain people. So right now you're selling 6%, 7%. They want you to go to 100% all electric. And the other day I saw they built chargers, like a gas pump.
Right.
Someplace in the Midwest. They built 8 chargers. They cost $9 billion, and 2 of them don't work. Okay, $9 billion.
Right.
This country doesn't have enough, the whole world doesn't have enough money to, we don't have enough money to even think about it. It would cost $5 trillion to build chargers so that we could charge the electric car. And yet under our feet, we have more liquid gold than any country in the world, including Saudi Arabia and including Russia. And we're going to start using it, and we're going to start paying down debt and lowering taxes.
Yeah. And the president talks about jobs all the time, the effect of jobs. If you go to 100% electric cars, everybody that's making carburetors, transmissions, traditional gas-powered cars are going to be out of a job. If you go to 100% electric, Pennsylvania, Michigan become economic wastelands, especially Michigan. Again, another reason it's important to elect President Trump. Drill, baby, drill. Right, drill, baby, drill. Right, that it's such a simple line, but it's true. Like I said, we have basically unlimited energy resources. We just have to allow our own people to get it out of the ground.
Before we let you guys go, there's a few questions from fans, real quick. Have you heard DJ Donald Trump with his iPad? Not yet?
I will say that my all-time favorite music video is November Rain by Guns N' Roses. The first time I ever sat on his airplane, he played November Rain by Guns N' Roses. So it was meant to be, at least a little bit.
Okay. JD Vance, what does the JD stand for?
James David.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Thank you very much, you guys.
Thank you.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.